Thank you so much for the kind introduction, Vineet, and thank you, Dr. Somashila and the AIOC Scientific Committee. Thank you so much. So today I'll be taking you through this case of a SJS patient, a 26-year-old male who has basically he had a sterile melt with a very poor ocular surface, and basically his options that he had, the various options that we were considering were application of a tissue adhesive to tackle this perforation, wherein the tissue adhesive itself would have caused a lot of irritation, and with such a poor ocular surface, this would have not been a very good idea. Or we were considering a corneal patch graft, but that would have its own epithelialization issues with such bad surface. So we then considered conjunctival flap, but that brings with it a lot of vessels, and that would jeopardize the basically the performance of any optical keratoplasty later, or the use of amniotic membrane graft in such cases. Now we went ahead and performed amniotic membrane graft. In fact, we had to do multiple of these so that we could just seal this perforation, but none of them stayed. We even did a multi-layered amniotic membrane graft, but that also refused to stay. And as you can see here, there was retraction of the amniotic membrane. So finally, we basically performed a tenon patch graft for this patient. As you can see, this is the tenon graft, which is opaque, and this is day one, post-operative day one picture with a translucent overlay amniotic membrane over it. We did not use sutures here. This was day 17 picture, wherein the volume of the tissue, the tenon, was reduced and it was getting integrated into the stroma and it was becoming more translucent. This is 4 months post-operative, wherein the tissue is seen well integrated. And finally, this was the picture at 9 months, wherein with the use of scleral lenses, this patient was able to regain a stable ocular surface along with a vision of 6/9 and a reasonably well epithelialized surface. So this is the miracle of a tenon patch graft. So let's see how does it work and what exactly, what benefits does the tenon's capsule provide. So it's basically a fibrous structure which is present in all, and it runs from the optic nerve to 2 to 3 millimeters posterior to the limbus. It is basically between the conjunctival epithelium and stroma and the episclera and sclera below. And it also receives attachments from the extraocular muscles over here. It is also known as, inferiorly, it is known as a Lockwood ligament, wherein there is, if there is a blowout fracture of the inferior wall of the orbit also, the eyeball will not prolapse if the tenons is intact. So let's see what are the benefits, where all can it be used. It is usually used to seal perforations of the traumatic kind or sterile perforation seen in ocular surface disorders, mainly due to secondary Sjogren's, like for example in rheumatoid arthritis, or for neurotrophic FZO cases, or in peripheral ulcerative keratitis cases. It can also be used to seal leaking blebs or melts, scleral melts or perforations, maybe after pterygium excision or corneal fistulae. So what are the benefits that it actually offers? It basically provides some amount of volume replacement, not as great as a corneal patch graft, but it does provide some volume replacement. It can be used in a central, paracentral, or peripheral location on the cornea, and can be used to fill up any shape of the perforation. As can be very readily understood, this is no corneal tissue needed graft, so it is easily available. It has zero risk of rejections. It is autologous. It is abundantly available and is free of cost. It is repeatable, provided we remember where we have taken the previous graft from. It does not increase the risk of rejection of keratoplasty in future, as it does not incite a lot of neovascularization. As per the technique, we usually prefer to perform it with a careful peribulbar block, and preoperatively a drop of brimonidine gives a relatively bloodless feel, and a good exposure of conjunctiva is necessary. This is a short video wherein a failed tissue adhesive application is being removed, which had shown micro leaks, and there was a shallow anterior chamber. We are just taking out the tissue adhesive here. Then we take up the conjunctival flap. We make an L-shaped conjunctival flap and reflect it so as to expose the tenons below. These are the adhesions or the trabeculae which are being released, and this is then reflected below to expose the tenon. We sometimes we also make a stromal pocket so that the tenon graft can be actually tucked into it 360 degrees within that perforation. Then we can measure the perforation and harvest the exact amount of tenons. We usually oversize the graft a bit, as tenons is an elastic, very elastic and fibrous tissue. So it's better to, it tends to retract also. So it's better to oversize the graft. And you just have to pinch grasp the tenons, and you will find a plane just above the sclera wherein you can insinuate the blades of your scissors and then cut along the margins and excise your graft. Right. So when you place it over the cornea, you have to tease it a bit so that you can stretch it out, and then put in a drop of fibrin glue, the two components of fibrin glue over the perforation, and then just place the tenons over there and try and tuck it into the pocket. The tucking in is not mandatory. It should just cover the entire perforation properly. With that, once the glue has settled, you need to cut it from just flush to the patch graft that you have placed. Otherwise, it will just peel off with the tissue itself. And then debride a 1 to 2 mm margin around the perforation so that you can place your amniotic membrane over it. So we did this just as to have a double protection. And then the amniotic membrane is placed over it and then glued together. So that's again application of another fibrin glue. And just for extra protection, we even placed an infinity suture or a cross suture, a partial thickness suture in the cornea. So this gives us a better protection, and we can check the AC formation at the end of the surgery by placing in an air bubble, right? So for larger perforations, we can also put in 2 cross sutures here, right? So there are various modifications many people have offered. They sometimes use cyanoacrylate glue if fibrin glue is not available. This is preferable only for a very few very small perforations wherein the glue does not reach the anterior chamber. Otherwise, it would cause a lot of a lot of inflammation. Sometimes people do not prefer to put in the stromal pocket and tuck it in. Some people do not use AMG altogether and just suture it. Some people do not use any sutures. Some people only suture and do not use fibrin glue. So this is a patient's picture which was shared from my friend who did not have access to fibrin glue, cyanoacrylate glue, or AMG, and she managed it just by suturing the tenons over it, over the perforation, and had good results. So typical post-operative course, you have a boggy tenon in the beginning, which then resolves and thins out, and then finally integrates into the host. And even if it's 140 microns thin, it can still withstand further pressures or dynamics like a standard phacoemulsification procedure, as has been reported recently. So avoid areas of glaucoma filtration bleb for graft harvesting, and avoid extensive dissection near recti muscles. Cases where I would not do it is in active infections, wherein TA or tissue adhesive would be better, and for large perforations. This is one case where we had a post-tenon graft infection and had been managed by removing the sutures and then placing a tissue adhesive over it. So basically, all in all, tenon patch graft is a very, very helpful procedure and can be a savior when you are in when you don't have corneal tissue, or in certain cases as described here. Thank